Also, you prefer this. I'm working on the student. When it comes to cyber threat,
everyone, municipal manager, councillors, elderly people, everyone. This is for me a very strange feeling. I didn't expect anything like that to happen at all. And if any one of you are amazed by seeing me here, I can assure you no one is more amazed than myself by how the situation has unfolded. Good morning, good morning. With my little experience in public service or in politics, I've learned in a very short time that everything in politics are of short living and regularly changes. So I made a decision as well that I will serve where I'm needed, where they need, and where fellow councillors and in other organizations feel that I can serve, I will serve. That being said, I especially want to thank Elder Lady Lechaba for the work that she has done. And in the term that I've served with her, I personally learned a lot from you, and I have a lot of respect for what you were doing and especially looking forward, working and continuing what we have been doing up to now. And I will also rely on your experience and expertise and all the things that you've been involved to assist. So that being said and dealt with, if we go to the agenda, we dealt with the opening and welcoming, then the attendance. Rihanna, will you deal with that, please?
Good morning, Councillor. Sorry, Chair. Good morning. Sorry, Chair, actually down there. Chair, I just want, in terms of procedure, just to check if this meeting is it's an open meeting. Is it okay? Because I didn't. Okay.
The
I just wanted to check from that procedure. And congratulations, Chairman.
Thank you.
Good morning, Chairperson, councillors, officials. Councillor Swart, for your impact meeting dated the 31st of October 2022, you have the following councillors present: yourself, Councillor Buys, Councillor Taute, Councillor Meyren, Councillor Malloy, Councillor Swart, Alcla de Luchaba. And via Zoom chairperson, you have Councillor Kannemeyer and Councillor Hector. Those are the those are your.
Calling me Councillor Swart, or is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, you said Swart, but I also mean, I said yourself. When I said the council is present, I said yourself, and then I proceeded to go to the rest of the members. Those are the councillors present, chairperson, and if you would allow me, I would like to do the officials present as well.
Yes, thank you.
We have Mr. Stratu, Mr. Africa, Ms. Nadima Davids, Advocate Sinakaya Makpakini, Mr. Jan Willem de Jager, Ms. Ilse Simon, Ms. Lauren James, myself, Mr. Timbani Loliwe, and on Zoom chairperson, we have Ms. Pamela Lofele. Those are the officials present in the JOC as well as on Zoom. In terms of councillors with leave, I have received no apologies from any councillor chairperson. Maybe Mr. Strato or Mr. Loliwe can maybe give from the official side, but I haven't received anything from the officials in terms of absence with leave.
Anyone here?
Thank you, Chairperson. Congratulations and good morning, councillors. Mr. Lusanda Menze is the head of Department of Planning and Economic Development, is on leave. There is an acting HOD, Mr. Richard Janji. He is supposed to be here. Just going to check if we can check where he is. The other HOD who is supposed to be present is Ms. Trix Holsthausen. She's the head of the Department for Corporate Services. She is in a meeting where I came from now. There is a visit by a certain stakeholder or company that is doing training for our road staff. So some of the ECO members and they are sitting, but she'll be finalized very quickly and will join us, Chair. Just on the attendance as well, Chair. The former chairperson had requested the presence of the executive mayor. She extended an invitation. I was advised that the executive mayor acceded to the invitation and that she will be with us. So I'm not sure where that is. I'm told yes. That's it from my side, Chair. But then, Chair, on attendance as well, there's a matter I would like to present to you so that you as the committee can take a decision before we can proceed with the rest of the agenda items.
Okay, we will come to that. So, any councillors with leave? Is Councillor Kronjestel?
I just want to mention about the Councillor Conyer. Councillor Conyer is sitting with a family crisis at this point. His wife is, as you know, very sick, and she's basically on her last. So I don't know if he made apologies. So on his behalf, I want to get apology.
Chairperson, I just want to inform you as well that Mr. Alavan Dippenaar, who is the chairperson of the MPAC, has also joined us via Zoom.
Okay, thank you. Welcome, Mr. Dippenaar.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to confirm what the news farm manager said. I just thought it was the proper thing because the Act says that the executive, when we deal with matters of reports, that the executive must be here. And that is the mayor. And sometimes the mayor can send his what to call it, your mayor, based on the what is in the agenda. But it is proper that the executive, because it means
we are doing oversight over the executive, not on the administration. Administration is there to explain, but the executive is actually the one that needs to be sitting there, chairperson, as the amended act. Thank you.
Was your information that he accepted the meeting?
Indeed, Chair, my information is that the mayor acceded to the information. In fact, Chair, there's always been my contention that this committee does not exercise oversight over the administration, but over the executive. The practice has always been that we are here, we field questions, we give responses. But I said, as the process is mature, it will be important that the executive is the one that sits in front of the committee and accounts. We will then support, and where it's about us, we will then respond. So the mayor in that space did accede to the request, and I'm sure he will join us because he has not indicated to me that he's not coming.
Is it possible that we could just go and get hold of his office, maybe just to determine whether he will be coming or offer an excuse or something like that? Thank you. Okay, then we've dealt with that. Then item your matter.
Still on attendance, Chair. Chair, last week the council where you were sitting, you resolved to change the chairperson of MPAC. And therefore, Councillor Chaba was then removed as the chair of MPAC and you were elected. Now, Chair, in terms of the composition of MPAC, Councillor Chaba was elected by council to be a member and chair. Now, I have sought advice from the Secretary of Council and other colleagues. And the advice I got is that when Councillor Chaba was removed by Council as chair, she ceased to be a member of MPAC. And that we sent correspondence to her, and that I think Rihanna did mention that we sent it by mistake. That's what they said as the secretariat. Councillor Chaba did respond to say she considers herself as the member of MPAC. Now, that is not ours to decide as the administration. We are just putting in front of you that in terms of her election, she was not elected to the chair by the members of MPAC, but by council, and assumed membership and chair as elected by council. So when she was removed as chair, she then ceased to be a member. But that is not for us to decide. We are just bringing it to attention so that the composition of your meeting is not challenged or otherwise by any other person. I'm just putting it in front of you. I have no particular position. I'm just putting it in front of you so that you as the committee can make your own decision.
I'll give you a chance. So when Alderman Lechaba was initially elected, are you saying she was not elected as a member of MPAC and then became the chair? It was the other way around.
The information, Chair, I have is that she assumed office by being elected to the MPAC by council as chair and member. She did not serve as an ordinary member. She was just a professional chair. That's what I got. You can verify, Chair, with the Secretariat and the Secretary of Council because they are the custodians of that process.
Yeah.
I'm just bringing it to you because
Mrs. Lechaba, do you want to respond to that?
Yes, I want to respond. What I know is that that could be the case. It might be the case. We'll have to also to investigate that. But however, we know that within the committee of MPAC, position, it's a deployment position from the political party. From the ANC as being the opposition, the bigger opposition, you have 2 seats that's supposed to be there. So that is why we thought that automatically, because it's 2 seats for the ANC that's supposed to be in this committee.
Sorry,
Someone else?
So we check, can we then say, from the information that the MN provide, that maybe older lady Litsaba is not allowed in this meeting, but she can then be deployed again. So the next meeting she can be on that meeting. Will that be a stupid analysis on what was being said?
I've heard that.
Chair, maybe just from this is my last. The appointment of MPAC members is done by council.
Yeah.
It's not automatic. It must be by way of a council resolution. Yes, there is vacancies that may be there, but to fill those, council must take a conscious decision to say, these are the members of the member. So for Councillor Richard to then fill that post as deployed by the ANC, that must be taken at a council meeting as a decision of council that she's a member. For now, our understanding is that her removal then ended her membership as the member and chairperson of the
But Chair, interjecting on that, then the administration was supposed then to lead council on that matter.
Yeah, I understand
For
that.
me, now
Yeah.
it is very unfair that they were able to bring that into this meeting instead of having to have advised council as the advisor, particularly from the office of the municipal manager, being the custodian. They were supposed to advise him so that this meeting is constituted properly.
Yeah.
So I fail to understand that when they wrote to me, they were supposed first to write to the speaker. There is a process that they were supposed to do, and they failed to do that. So I feel that is the way that they want to embarrass me as the municipal manager, because if he could have done it, he could have done it in the proper way instead of wanting to bring it in this meeting. He should have done it in terms of speaking to it. As we say, if it's council, there is a process that council has to go through. And I feel very harassed by that, because the municipal manager, his behavior of such kind, he knows he was doing this on purpose, so that he can embarrass me in this meeting.
Okay, thank you.
And I find offense on that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Good morning, Mayor. I don't see you coming in. It's very silent. But just for a moment, I know you want to respond to that. Okay, do so. You're welcome to do so.
Chair, I must say I take exception to the accusation that is being leveled against me. It's unfounded and it's baseless. And I take serious exception to it. It is not for me, Chairperson, to constitute. It is a decision of council. There was a report presented to the council on the restructuring of committees. That report emanates from the office of the speaker. It is not my report. It is for council to decide how it constitutes its committees. I have no role to play there. But I have to advise you that since the meeting, the Secretariat of Council, which is responsible for the records and everything of Council, brought this to my attention, and I'm bringing it to your attention. I have no role to play on this matter. I have nothing against Councillor Chava or anything. So to be accused of seeking to embarrass her is not acceptable, it's wrong.
No.
I'm only bringing this to you, Chair. And Chairperson, for the record, I must say, it is difficult for me to engage on anything that involves Councillor Chava. Because, Chair, for the record, Councillor Chava has submitted a formal complaint against me to the Speaker, complaining about me harassing her, bullying her, and doing all these things. So everything that comes from Councillor Chava that affects me, I take it that until that complaint is resolved, she's got a grudge against me. Because I'm not accusing her. There is a formal complaint. That formal complaint emanates from the strategic planning of this institution, where she accuses me that I bullied her, I harassed her. I pleaded with the Speaker to attend to that complaint, to resolve it. Because for as long as that formal complaint is not resolved, I am entitled to then believe that Councillor Chaba is targeting me because she has submitted a formal complaint and it is not being resolved. As it is happening now, I'm just reporting on something that is Chair. I'm just reporting on something that does not involve me, that the Secretariat of Council has brought to my attention that since the resolution of Council, there is this matter. I am bringing it to your attention, Chair, to decide. But I'm being accused now of having plotted to embarrass Councillor Richard. And I've got nothing to do with that. And that's why, Chair, I'm saying I plead for your protection and I take exception to such accusations. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, let's I don't want to deal with this on a lengthy debate. It's not necessary debate. I've heard Councillor Lachaba, I've heard the municipal manager, and it is clear that this is I'll get to you, Mayor, and Mr. Pelter. It is clear that there's a personal thing between the people involved, and I'm not going to allow you guys to continue with this on this meeting. I've done with that. We have taken note of it. And as far as Mrs. Lachaba's continued presence is concerned, I believe, and unless I'm wrong, then you must correct me, that I will now have to rule on the situation and whether she should stay in the meeting. So according to the information that I currently have, she was elected as a member of MPAC, and coincidentally, on the same day that she was appointed as the chair. So my ruling is for this meeting, I will allow Mrs. Lasalva to stay and to partake in the meeting. If you guys want an investigation into the matter, you're welcome to do so. I personally have we call it in Afrikaans, a kleintjie dood. When people use lightheartedly words like harassment, even some other instances, drawing the race card and things like that. It makes the playing ground unlevel if you use words like that and gender references and so on. And I would like us to refrain from doing that and just to stay focused on what we are here for. So this is my ruling for now. And then the debate on this is then closed for now. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. And that is a matter that we will have to deal with and sort out before the next meeting. My ruling is only for this meeting. Thank you.
Sorry, Chairperson.
If it's 30 seconds, you're welcome.
All right. Chairperson, firstly, my apologies for being late, and just for future reference, from time to time, when time permits, I will attend MPAC meetings going forward. And even for this meeting, unfortunately, Chairperson, I have an emergency, so I'm going to disappear in between. And then also on the matters raised as I walk into it, we will follow up at another platform in terms of the issues that has been raised.
Thank you, Mayor. A question on that, as we are aware that our oversight is over the executive. Will the mayor then be able to send someone in his stead to attend? That we always have someone of the executive in attendance, or what is the correct procedure on that to make sure that the executive is present on the meeting?
Thank you, Chair. The previous chair has sent a standing invitation to the executive for all MPAC meeting. So the executive mayor may attend in his person or with his mayoral committee, or he may send a delegate or person to stand for the executive. So it's really depending on what is on the agenda. Although the invitation is standing, it might be that maybe it's not necessary, but we will deal with it at each meeting.
Okay, we will deal it on a case-by-case basis, Mayor, and in our preparation before the meetings. Okay, then item 2610 is the noting of Schedule 7. I think by now everyone is noting. And disclosure of interest, item 27. Anyone who wants to disclose any interest that we need to take cognizance of? No one? think. Then communication by the chair. In my introduction, I have dealt with the situation of the change in the chairmanship. I'm looking forward that we can continue doing the work what we are here to do, and to make sure that the oversight is done in a proper way. As for myself, I didn't expect to be elected in this position and so quickly. So I tried in the time to my availability to prepare myself as thorough as was possible to do so. But as for this meeting, I will rely on the assistance of you and the professionals in the room to assist me for the first meeting. Then the approval of the minutes of the previous meeting, it's on page 5. Any comments or remarks on that, Mrs. Java?
Sorry, Chair, just I wanted to take you just 1 minute back on your communication. Chairperson, I just wanted to allude in terms of getting the agendas. I felt, Chairperson, the agendas with the type of work that we are doing, agendas should come on time. I felt that it was not fair for the committees and the members to get agenda for Thursday and Friday, and then to Monday we must be. The council has rules of order, that the rules of order are very specific on when we must get an agenda.
It's 4 days.
It's for that.
Yeah.
Yes.
From my side, I think I need to apologize because Mr. Loliwe did try to get hold of me on Tuesday or Wednesday, and I could only respond to him the day after that. So I think that's where the problem lies, and I apologize for that. You can be assured, if there's one person who needs agendas and documentation long enough before the time, it's me. I will see that it will happen, and I think that was the reason. So any remarks or comments on the agenda? Otherwise, if anyone will can propose for us to accept it. Mr. Meyer, second. Mrs. Java, thank you. The meeting is then approved. Then the matters that we should consider for the day is then item 30. Maybe Mr. Loliwe, you can just assist me here. I see the numbering went wrong here. It was, if you look at the left, it's MPAC 30, 31, 32, and then it starts over again in 31 and 32. Is that correct? Or should that be renumbered on the agenda?
Okay, I will ask the Secretariat, Rehana, to assist with that. If it's an error, then we can.
Is the error, Rihanna, or does it refer to the same ones?
It was a typo.
Okay, so number 30 is the report on the strategic risk register.
Sorry, Chair.
Apologies.
Something is, I think, overtaken me on the agenda. Have we dealt with the minutes?
Yes.
The matters, Chair, I have asked the Secretariat to communicate with them that there are matters that are on the minutes that as accounting officer, I would like to bring to the attention of them.
On the minutes.
On the minutes, Chair. There are matters arising from the minutes, which.
Okay, so then we can deal with that, matters arising. You're welcome to proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, there is a number of reports that have served before MPAC from the internal audit section. The first one has to do with irregular expenditure, the treatment thereof. There's an item, Chair, that the internal audit submitted on 30 May for MPAC to recommend to Council. Chair, that item stems from 2011, 2012. It's been in our books for more than 10 years. Now, the AG and everybody knows that every year we have to treat irregular expenditure. And we have to work towards reducing our irregular expenditure register. Internal audit has looked at the matter and has concluded its work and has submitted the report to MPAC to recommend to Council for the conclusion of that process and to write off the regular expenditure. The report is very detailed. I asked the Secretary to even circulate it again for members of MPAC over the weekend. That report, Chair, it's still outstanding and it's a matter arising from the minutes.
What matter are you referring to, Emma? Is that
It's the
2005
2005.
2005? What was that? Can someone assist me?
internal audit.
internal audit review of 2012 irregular expenditure.
Page 11.
Page 11. I am on page 11 at this stage.
In your meeting, Chair, you decided to refer this to an in-committee session.
But let me just understand, sorry, is this about, what is the matter on the table here? That was a forensic report.
Irregular expenditure.
On what items? On what was the irregular expenditure?
Chair, there is a list in the report that is put there on what this is. It totals to about 7 million. There's a list of what happened.
Okay,
All those items are listed in the report that was presented.
Okay.
to them.
so it wasn't only one
Not
item.
one item. They then say internal audit. They have looked at this matter. These matters have been dealt with by previous councils. There was an error on their part as internal audit over the years, because this matter was never taken to its logical conclusion, which is taking it to MPAC for recommendation for write-off to council. Now, this matter then has been dealt with for the past 10 years, from 2011, 2012. It remains in our books, and we have to take it off. The process is that it must come in. You must then look at it and recommend to council. Your meeting said it must be referred to an enclosed session and that the KPMG report must be looked at. I submit, Chairperson, that MPAC misdirected itself in taking that decision. This matter is done.
And it was dealt with on impact,
Yeah.
and then impact decided to re-refer.
To take it to an in-committee discussion. I am here, Chairperson, as the accounting officer. I'm presenting the report from internal audit again to say MPAC must resolve to recommend to council to write off this thing. It's a very detailed report that has been in your possession. It's very clear. It's since 2011, 2012. It's overtaken by events and everything. The previous 2 terms, councils have dealt with it. But the only issue was that it was never taken to its logical conclusion for write-off. That is why internal audit submitted. Ms. Pamela Lufela, who is the CAE and the owner of this, is present, Chair. You can ask her. Just because it's my duty to bring it to her attention.
Thank you. So in my view, impact, I will give you a chance, deals with, we get our information from reports and from minutes of meetings, etc., etc. So I'm asking the question, are there anything in any of that reports or minutes that we are in doubt of? If we have received anything, why is it that we haven't accepted the recommendation as yet? So that's why I interrupted you, asking the question. So maybe some of your previous guys can answer that question. And I think Mr. Delta was first, and then Mrs. Lachava.
Yeah, Chairperson, on this, I hear what the municipal manager is saying here. Our purpose with this item is just to look whether the decisions taken is correct, like we decided on. If it's correct, then we propose and we say, and there's a seconder and we second discussions out of it. We can't change with this item any decision taken by the committee at that time. So what I would suggest is that if Mr. Strato, or not Mr. Strato, if that decision was taken wrong, it was the decision taken was wrong, then we need to rectify it at the council meeting where this report will be tabled. But not now. We can't do that. We must just check on what the decision taken there is the correct decision taken by the committee at that time. That is our purpose on this specific item. Only that. We can discuss and discuss, but we can't change anything there now. It should go back to council and we should ratify it there.
Do you want to make a proposal on that?
We can't make a proposal.
To take it to council?
It must go to council.
Yeah. Okay. Mrs. Letsova?
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I think I'm probably the only one who was in that previous council. I want to give a context. When this report, firstly, it was never dealt with, Chairperson. I was the chairperson of that committee, and I remember very clearly. This report was never dealt with by the committee. It was introduced to us when we saw that there was a KPMG and a forensic report. Then we said, we need to take it into a closed session where we're going to unpack the KPMG forensic report, because we felt that there were names of people if it was not dealt with, because that report was never dealt with. By the hands you could see, Chairperson, that particular outcome to go in closed session. So that because this report happened 2011, before our time of that period of that committee, of the last committee. So, in other words,
just a moment. Thank you. Proceed.
So what I'm trying to say, Chairperson, is it not true that that report the committee dealt with? It was not dealt with. It was just to say they introduced it. And when it was introduced, we said we need to take it to an enclosed session to unpack it. Because, Chairperson, I'll tell you why. What is the reason? MPAC, as much as we are sitting here as a committee, we must understand that matters of forensic, you need a thorough details of what has happened, particularly if it's something that is of nature of a long time ago. We were not in that council. And at that time we were dealing with this, we were also dealing with the, the annual report. So we felt at that time it was too much in the short period of time, because what is not going to be correct, and I'm telling you, Chairperson, is that when MPACs we start to do decisions that we didn't thorough investigate, because at some time council will rely on us to be able to give proper, informed and thorough decision. So hence we said, one of the things, that is why we saw also the Lifati coming into the fold, Chairperson, because for the very same reason, we wanted an investigative unit to do these things, to unpack these things for us, because we do not have the capability to do them. So that is why one of these things was for them. And for that matter, it would have been desired that KPMG, the author of that report, would have came and to give a thorough reporting on what has happened and how it happened and why they made the recommendation that they made. That is why. So in something I'm saying that decision was never taken, because that report never said, we didn't even unpack the report. It was going to be unpacked in a closed session.
So my understanding of what Rihanna?
Sorry, Chairperson, I wanted to inform you that you have a hand, Ms. Pamela Lufele.
Ms. Lufele, you're welcome.
Chairperson, she disappeared now. She's no longer. She was online.
It's like the MM. So my understanding now is that we do have the KPMG report. It is a forensic report. It did serve in front of this committee. The committee wanted to refer it or to an enclosed session. So I got also another version that states we have that report. It's not necessary to interrogate that again. It did serve through the system up when it ended up to us. And now all that we need to do is to decide to accept or to recommend to council that it be accepted. Do you want to add something?
Chair, the report I'm referring to is the report of the internal audit. Please get me right. I'm talking about the report of the internal audit on irregular expenditure of 2011-2012, right? If you read their report, they are saying this matter has been dealt with by the various councils in the past and finished. What did not happen, Chair, is the treatment of the actual irregular expenditure. Many people were dismissed. People resigned from that category of KPMG. Those matters were done, closed, lock, stock, and barrel. The only outstanding thing, which the internal audit, not, for instance, the administration, is bringing to MPAC, is the fact that there is one aspect of that process that has never been finalized, which then is necessary to reduce the irregular expenditure register of the municipality, which is for this committee to recommend to council to write on. If you read their report, they're very detailed. Now, this committee received the report of the internal audit. Instead of then dealing with the report of the internal audit, it referred it to the in-committee session to go back to the KPMG report, which report has been dealt with, Chair. People were dismissed, people were disciplined, people were all those things. What is required of you by internal audit is to recommend to council that this thing remains in our books forever because it has to be treated in a certain way. The law says this committee must recommend to council to write on. That is all they are asking. Yes. Now, this is not my administration. It's other people that were here many years ago. Some of them were fired, some, I don't know what happened to them. But the report is very clear on consequence management that was followed. Your internal audit is saying, we want to reduce our register of regular expenditure. This is the process. That is all I'm bringing here to say, in your previous meeting on 30 May, you misdirected yourselves when you decided to send this to in committee and discuss the KPM report. That's where this committee now has misdirected itself. Thank you.
Is there anyone who wants to add to what have been said and not repeating the same? Because I have the picture, Meyer and then Mrs. Chaba.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, in law, a council must finish its own business. This happened a couple of terms ago. That council doesn't even exist anymore. So Councillor Tauti is correct. Let that report come to council and then we make the decision in council. We should not discuss the merits here now. We will deal with the outcomes of the recommendations in council and council then decides.
Chairperson.
Last time.
Yes, last time. Chairperson, what I'm trying to say, MPAC's role is not necessary to investigate the actual conduct. That is another process. If the Honorable Mayor, they want to do it in council, it's another matter. MPAC is there to say, do we recover or we write off? What I'm trying to say, it can't be that when we have been applied our mind and then we just say we write off just for the books. You don't only write off, you also think and to apply your mind. Do you recover? That is the essence. So you were going to go to a closed session to say, these are the issues. Yes, these actions were taken in terms of people being dismissed, in terms of people consequence management. But however, do you still require to recover that money? And if not, then you write off, as the municipal manager is saying. So in the audit, the internal audit say, because that is our role, the internal audit say we recover after we write off. We said, but what about another section to say, do you recover? We have to satisfy to say, it is irrecoverable? Can we able to go after the people? Because at that time, Chairperson, there is a very big, the AG continue to say that we cannot just want to write off. We cannot just want to write. We must ensure that we have exercised everything we can to recover the wealth of the municipality if there was wrongdoing into the matter. That is what we are doing. MPAC is there to check for recovery and the write-off, not only to write off. You must be no doubt that you are writing off instead of recovering. That is all.
Thank you. So just to finalize the matter, so is there a situation that the money can still be recovered or not?
No, Chair.
Okay, that was dealt with in the report.
Chair, the report is very clear. And in any event, you know prescription.
Yeah, that's what I'm concerned about.
It's 12 years now. Yeah. Because nothing you can do. That's why your own internal audit division is recommending that you write off as a recovery. It's not me doing that. It's an independent.
So am I correct that it's not necessary to have a vote amongst us? That report, according to what Mr. Tauta has explained, must go to council, and that is what will now happen.
Yeah. But this committee must take its own resolution on what the internal audit is recommending and recommend to council. They are saying, having looked at everything, if you read the report, they are saying they are recommending to you to recommend to council to write off. You can say council must write off or recover, but I really, if you read the report, it will be derelict of MPAC not to make a recommendation that is specific.
So the reports did serve. There was a forensic report. All the processes was thoroughly introduced. So we need to resolve to accept the report and to recommend to council to write off. Can we do that?
I would.
I've got a proposal.
Chairperson, we can't do that. The purpose of this specific item is to see whether the secretary of this committee took down the minutes which was decided on at that time correctly. That's what we must do. Then everything here is 100% correct. The decisions taken there must go to council, and council can then say, listen, exactly what the MM said there. Recommendations from MPAC at that time is wrong. It should have been that we should write it off. Council can do that, but we can't change this unless we say now as a committee at that time this wasn't the decision to do.
Can I advise council?
It's a decision.
The decision of MPAC on 30 May says we are referring this matter to an in-committee session and we want the report. I am submitting to you, Chair, of the committee that your committee misdirected itself. Yeah. That is my submission. And therefore this committee must rectify that and deal with there's a recommendation of the report that the committee take note of the report and make a recommendation to council to write off the expenditure. That is their recommendation as internal audit. Now I'm submitting to you that on 30 May, you misdirected yourselves and took a decision to send this report to an in-committee of yourselves and to look at a KPMG report that has been dealt with by council. And that was wrong. And therefore, this is an opportunity for your committee to correct that and deal with that recommendation as it stands. Thank you.
So, Chairperson, can I then ask the legal people, can we change minutes which was taken? Like the MM is 100% correct, that was a recommendation. But we didn't took that recommendation at that time. We took this recommendation. Can we change it? Can we change this minutes of that meeting now to that?
So are you referring to the May decision?
The May decision, at May there was a recommendation from that that we should write it off. the committee at that, our committee at this meeting, which we are sitting over now, didn't took that recommendation. We took this recommendation, and this recommendation was what we took at that time. It's correct, but can we now? And that's why I'm asking the legal people: can we change a minute? You can only if we say the minute. That recommendation was supposed to be that one. We took that decision, then we can change it. But we didn't took that decision.
Okay, so I understand what you are saying. Is it then an amendment when we say to recall that decision?
Chair, it's a matter. The minutes themselves are a true reflection of your meeting.
Yes,
That's what you decided. So we are not saying change your minutes. No, the minutes reflect what you decided. My submission here is that decision, you misdirected yourselves as a committee. Now you have an opportunity then to review that decision and take a new one in line. But it doesn't mean that what you decided then must not be deleted or de-passed. It's what you decided, but this is another MPAC committee meeting. It's looking at matters arising from that meeting. Hence, we are
So the correct wording will now be to say that we review that decision and to decide to recommend to council that now be written off. Correct.
Chairperson, Mr. Taylor is requesting permission to address the meeting, please.
You're welcome. You may proceed.
Thank you very much, Chair. And let me start by apologizing that my background might have a bit of noise. I'm attending a conference and it's break time now. But I briefly, Chair, want to explain the background of the item. As I am listening to the proceedings, I think it's deviating a bit from the actual background of the item. This report, Chair, in 2011, the municipal manager of the time, after he was absent from his duties for some time, or upon his return, he appointed forensic investigators because he had suspicion of irregularities that took place during his absence. He then appointed forensic investigators to investigate certain matters. And the result of that investigation was then this report. What then happened, that report was submitted to the council of that time. And that council decided to institute disciplinary action against the transgressors at the time. And the disciplinary actions took place, and as stated in my report on 30 May, that the results of those disciplinary actions led to some officials being dismissed, others resigned. However, the part that was never addressed was the fact that because these items have been identified as irregular expenditure, it meant that they form part of our annual financial statements. And as legislation rightfully states that if there are any identified irregular expenditures, they need to be submitted before a committee of council, which is this committee, MPAC, for this committee then to decide on resolving on these items. And as I've stated, Chair, that the disciplinary action took place, there were sanctions that were implemented as per council decision, but the side of treating the expenditure, which for over 10 years now has been on our financial statements, is what was omitted to be done. And for a few years, I think it's the second, if not the third year now, that I've been submitting this report before council, before MPAC, for MPAC to make a decision on it. I remember that the previous time that this report was referred back was because MPAC had a special interest on one line item that was regarding Lifati. And MPAC requested management to give a thorough report regarding that particular item. Management did as such, as that item was also discussed at council, where there was at the end of that matter, there was a court order that said we needed to settle on the matter of Lifati. And council decided that we will settle on the matter. And that report containing all that was written by our legal manager submitted to this committee. I then resubmitted this report to council on the 30th of May, as that line item that was of interest was then clarified and discussed in order for these items to be resolved on. And from my side, I'm saying, as indicated in the report, that there was no indication of embezzlement, number one, and council did receive value for the items that were purchased. The transgressions are regarding the fact that proper SCM regulations were not followed, and our SCM policy was not followed when those procurements took place. So in a question whether can we recover any monies, mine is to say no, Chair, because there was no embezzlement. The only problem is that we transgressed in terms of obtaining 3 quotations, in terms of delegations that were given to certain individuals or not given rather. And that is the crux of the matters that arise here. There were instances whereby service providers will just come in, present their product, and then upon our satisfaction of that presentation, will decide to embark on a business with that service provider, which is totally against the SCM regulations as well as our SCM policy. So that is the basis of all these transgressions, Chair. Hence, I'm saying that there is no ground for us to recover the monies, because council did, on all these instances, council did receive value for the money that council spent on these items. That is my submission, Chair. Otherwise, the committee, it is not true that this matter was decided by any MPAC, as I'm stating that only council dealt with the KPMG report, but it was omitted for it to be brought before council. I have, in a few instances, submitted this item, but because of that particular interest on Lifati, this item was referred back and I resubmitted it again. Hence, we are asking that council or MPAC rather must make a decision on how to address these irregular expenditures. That is my submission, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that full report. I think we've discussed down. There's no new information coming to the fore. Everything has been said that need to be said. So the only thing that we can't do, we as a municipality can't leave items for 10 years and longer on an agenda. In this instance, the matter did serve before the audit committee. They made proper recommendations. The previous council had all the information. We are now getting all the information again. It's no need to carry on dragging this thing. So what we need to do is to review our previous decision and to decide, to recommend to council to write off that specific irregular expenditure. Anyone still want to object to that? Otherwise, that's the decision that we take.
I object.
Please note that Mrs. Lachaba object, and then the others are all in favor of the decision. Another one, Mr. Paisify and Mr.
Can I say, because it's only fair that I say why I object? Because there is a Lifati technology ICT of that we haven't even dealt with.
Yeah, we will.
That is why I'm saying, because that becomes, it was part of this of this report. So you couldn't just take it when you haven't dealt with Lifati.
Yeah.
That's why you needed to close Lifati and then.
So just add that little thing to the objection. The reason for that being that there is another Lifati matter.
That was not dealt.
Do you want to deal with that now?
Yes.
Good.
It's a second matter.
Maybe Mrs. Lachaba will then withdraw her objection.
It's a second matter, Chair. Chairperson, the Lifati matter was concluded just a month before I started in February 2017. That was the end of the Lifati matter. Now, I know the Lifati matter from where I come from Bito Municipality. It's a company that had acquired rights to a Belgian ICT system for local government. First municipality to have it was a municipality in Gauteng. I think it's the Western Area municipality. they obtained that from the Belgian authority. Now, various municipalities, including this one, through Section 32, piggybacked on that thing of Western area and brought Lefati here to this municipality and in Bito. In Bito, we dealt with this matter differently. We didn't even pay the VAT. And in the end, what they wanted from us. When I arrived here, Chair, this municipality had gone through a long process of arbitration, of a lot of investigations, and in the end, there was a settlement agreement approved by a municipal council. A council here approved a settlement agreement. That agreement was made an order of court. The Lefati was paid, the matter ended. Now, there is nothing to be done. The matter is finished. It's done. This council, your predecessors, on a council resolution, approved a settlement agreement and paid the Lefati. They paid them. And that was made an order of court. It's done. What MPAC requested was that the new councillors that came after were not happy with that process. Now, if you are not happy with your predecessor's decision, it's another thing, because you are a successor of good and bad. So they asked us, can you ask provincial government to assist us to do some forensic investigation? We said, there is no need to do a forensic investigation, but we will approach provincial government to help us. They told us they can't help us because it's too expensive and this matter has been dealt with by council. They don't understand why we're acting on this matter and they are not going to assist us. Provincial Treasury wrote to us. It's contained in a report that has served in MPAC no once for a quite number of times. And I'm saying that irregular expenditure remains in our books as well from all those years. And it's wrong that it is not treated as the internal audit person has just explained. It must be taken out of the books of the Garden District Municipality and recommend to council to finish this thing. But the trick is, council will tell you that, but this thing was dealt with by council. Why are you busy with this thing when we have dealt with it? As council, our predecessors dealt with it. And to make it worse, the settlement agreement was made an order of court. And you paid for it.
I want to have the three objectives.
That was in 2017.
Thank you. To agree with us, so I'm going to give you the opportunity. So my question to you in raising your point is how do you believe will it be possible to change something that's already 5 years ago been made an order of court in terms of the settlement? You may proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I think what also Mr. Manager is alluding in this, it's not correct because we must go back to time. If it was not there that time, but I think that it was in this time. The matter of Lefati, it was not of MPAC. It came from a council resolution that MPAC must investigate Lefati. It didn't come from MPAC. I want the secretary to go and get that resolution. Then, because we didn't have the power, we didn't have the financials, we didn't have the capacity in-house, then it was asked that it must go from a provincial, because we were asking, because it was a direction, or a command, council saying that we must make that. Then we told council, then we said, let's go and find assistance from other avenues, because we were given an instruction by council. It didn't come from this. And because that matter was not settled, the provincial, I would probably check also in my old communication. Provincial was saying that there were lots of things in communication to say, we do not have the unit. They never communicated to us that because it was closed. Council understood that they had to pay the order, but they felt that the order, there was a irregular into this whole thing of Lefati. Hence, they wanted investigation. So I'm saying that in that space, that led for us is to get those minutes, because it was council council instructed this committee to do the investigation is because we didn't have that investigation and it was not closed. That investigation was not closed. And then that is why I'm saying we cannot be able to say that we are closing it while we didn't make the effort to close it.
So what you are saying is that previous council, whilst still being in doubt, went to court and settle the matter in any event.
Yes, they did.
Saying it was settled.
Yes, it was settled in terms of payment, but at the same time, that same council said, we want to, if we can be able to recover or to whatever happened, not necessarily the outcome, but whatever happened in Lifatsi, some people must be held accountable.
And I know that reports that already served before council and in fact, I understand that report's already dealt with what you are
No.
referring to now.
It was not.
Chair, I don't want the councillors to misunderstand me. I'm dealing with matters that arise on 30 May.
Yes.
Yeah.
In your meeting of 30 May, the Lefatse matter has been referred to an in-committee discussion. I am saying, Chairperson, Councillor Chapa is correct. The resolution was taken to say, go to province, as I've just said, and ask them to help us investigate. We told council that it's not going to result in anything, but you are decision makers. We then, if you read her report, Nadine, she says, we went to the province, Councillor Chapa, and asked for help. They told us they don't have the capacity. They told us how expensive it is. You understand? And that's what I'm saying. And I'm saying, Chair, it has always been my position when I arrived here that I even said it's regrettable that the decision to settle was taken just a month before I took over. Because in Bito, where I came from, we bought this thing and we did not pay the party. That was my submission. And I said, our hands are tied. There is nothing we can do. You have settled, it has been made a court order, you have paid. There's nothing we can do. That's why I'm saying here, yes, it's irregular expenditure, it has to be written on. That's why it's here. To treat it in terms of the law, MPAC must conclude on this and recommend council, let go. It's done. They signed for it, they paid. If you read that, remember there was arbitration. They went for arbitration, there was a court settlement, and it's done. It can't remain in our books forever. That's why I'm bringing to council. We all have our own positions, like I say. I hated to learn that they decided to settle. It happened in February, it started in March. I've told my colleagues many times that where I came from, we didn't pay. We said in fancy or things are not working, we're not paying. There's no value for money. But here, council in its wisdom, settled and paid. And it was made a court order. And that's all I'm submitting, Chair.
Okay, thank you. So I think we have now thoroughly dealt with the matter, and Mr. Chava explained in detail why they are objecting to the decision. That has been noted, and with that, I think the matter has been dealt with in full.
Chairperson, what is the decision taken now on the 29, on item 29?
The one that we are now busy with.
Yeah, the one.
Yeah, so the decision was that we reviewed our previous decision in May to refer the matter to the in-committee meeting, and that we accept the recommendation to recommend to council to write off the irregular expenditure.
Okay.
If I'm correct, that was the decision.
Yeah. Chairperson, then procedurally that is incorrect. We should say first that the minutes of that item of 30 May is 100% correct.
Yes,
Minutes
yes,
correct.
minutes are
And
correct.
that's why we are saying we review.
And number 2 should be that.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, the minutes, Chair, I'm just saying the minutes are correct.
Yes.
I was not in that meeting and I'm not contesting the minutes on all the matters I'm raising. I'm just saying from the minutes that you had, these are the matters I'm bringing to our attention, your decision. So the minutes themselves reflect your decision.
Yeah. So just to explain to you how my head works on this. So when you say you review something, you never say that the previous one was wrong or whatever. There is that decision in the minutes, and that now we reviewed it.
that we should, that decision should be clearly numbered. Number one, we approve the minutes, and number two is that.
Yeah, correct,
Then
correct.
I'm
And your objection is withdrawn.
kind of, yes. Because that was a worrying factor for me. When you want to change the minutes.
No, that's not what we do. That's what the legal meaning of a review is.
Chair, the third thing is a matter arising. Regards the MPAC summons. You will, please forgive me, Chair, some of the things probably that
Yeah. No,
in committee was in there.
Please.
Now, your decision is that you want the summons of MPAC. Now we say MPAC is misdirecting itself in that decision. What is happening is this municipality called for consulting companies to tender for the designs of the regional waste facility. A full-blown supply chain process was done, finalized, and Zutari was awarded the contract by this municipality. Now, MPAC as a committee.
Sorry, Chair. Sorry, just to terms of procedure, which one are we talking about?
I'm talking about the MPAC someone, it's in your minutes.
We are still on the minutes.
I'm saying which I'm dealing with all the minutes, Chairperson. Now, MPAC is challenging the decision of this municipality to award the matter to Zutari. Now, this matter is in court and it's sub judice. We are defending the matter as this municipality. The courts will decide that Zutari is appointed. Now, it is not for MPAC at this point in time to be asking for the summons of MPAC, because what are we going to do about it? Because it's not MPAC's routine now to deal with this matter until the courts have pronounced. Now, remember, MPAC follows on decisions on what has been transgressed and so on and so on. The matter is sub judice. Your municipality is defending the matter. At this point in time, the matter is not right for MPAC to take any decision. You are not going to do anything with the summons. And we have affidavits filed, our lawyers are dealing with it. There's nothing that MPAC must do with MPAC matter as things stand. Until such time, council gets its outcomes and feels there's something wrong, then refers the matter to MPAC for kind of an investigation. So that's why we said in your minutes, maybe that one as well. As much as it is correct, it is what you decided. But it's, I think, you again misdirected yourself as well.
Okay, can you please just refresh my memory? So when the decision was made to issue summons against them, was that for damages or what was our belief?
No, it's not us that are issuing summons. We are defending the matter.
Okay, so they are.
An aggrieved party feels they are supposed to have won the tender. So we're saying, no, you are wrong.
So our decision, what did our decision saying we want to summons who for what?
You want the summons of the matter. I don't know what you're going to do with the summons.
No, I don't understand.
So it's recorded in the minutes. Something
anyone that can be of assistance, otherwise we will go with what MM says. Okay, good. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Chair. The fourth one, Chair, is regarding.
How many are there?
This is the one for the last. The fourth one is regarding, Chair, the issue of a recovery of debt for the council. You resolved in May to ask the speaker and the chair of MPAC and so on.
I objected to
that's
that.
wrong, councillors. MPAC has no role there until such time that council has referred the matter to you. You will recall that council is seized with the matter as we speak. It was on the agenda only last week. And council has said, refer the matter back, CFO, bring back more information because the mayor, if you remember, the mayor said there are many things that we have decided upon that we as council must deal with. So it can't be here. MPAC cannot now resolve that the speaker and whoever must approach the councillor. It's not your role, MPAC, to do that. It's wrong. I'm again saying MPAC misdirected itself and shouldn't have entered that area as things stand. Thank you, Chair.
I must acknowledge I'm a little bit biased because that was my view on that meeting as well. Mrs. Java,
Thank
you
you.
welcome.
Chair, let us not make as if that landed in MPAC out of thin air. I take to exception to it didn't land to MPAC on the thin air. That report landed because MPAC deals with annual reports. Then from the annual report, it was said as part of irregular, then that came in. We had to deal with irregular of that process. So we had to take a decision. So the only thing we can say, because council is still deliberating on the issue, then we can stop it for now, but it doesn't take away from MPAC to deal with the matter. That is the thing, because it was part of irregular. You can't decide now on this committee to say that you do not deal with that matter. It's part of the irregular expenditures.
Just for a moment, I'll give you a chance. So, Rihanna, can you just take us to that point? I seem to not get it now. Was it on our previous minutes? Because I don't get it now. I remember it was minuted, my objection and everything. I just want to go back there to see what the recommendation was. I seem not to find it. Litigation cases, page 13.
Want to see the report, Chairperson, or the period?
No, our minutes.
The minutes,
Minutes.
where
Okay.
it says the speaker and the chairperson must meet with
I
council.
just want to be sure what the recommendation was. And now I don't get it.
You can check even in your, if it's not in the open, check
It's
in
in
the
the inflows.
inflows.
I'm gonna open the inflows.
And check, that's to add. MPAC, it also says in our amendment, MPAC can deal with an issue and it can make recommendation to council of an issue. It's part of the Amendment Act. So it's not like any issue can come into this committee. Any issue can be dealt with. It's either we must decide whether the approach or anything, but it mustn't make as if now we cannot be dealing with issues of municipality.
Correct.
The Amendment Act allows us to deal with issues.
Correct. And that was the reason why I said on the previous meeting, it's not on our table to deal with it. It's on our table to make a recommendation
Yes.
to council or
Yes.
whatever the case is.
But then, Chair, with your permission, you then make another resolution to ask certain members of your committee to approach the councillor and kind of make a discussion on there.
Yeah.
And that is where,
If you can just find
that is
that.
where I'm saying there it is. Don't go.
Page 6, yeah.
That the formal letter from the office of the speaker and the chairperson of MPAC to formulate it and invite Councillor Kharike to discuss the matter to increase the money. That's where I'm saying
That's wrong.
that's wrong.
Just
That-
go to the next paragraph, Rihanna.
That-
Little bit more, little bit more. There was why I said already at that stage that it's wrong. So I'm actually in agreement with what you are saying.
Yes, I'm just saying, Chair, I'm bringing to that decision. It's properly minuted, Councillor Tata, through chairperson, but it's wrong. You cannot take that decision as MPAC. Council is seized with the matter until it is this particular matter. Because this is not any matter. It's a specific matter that council is dealing with. And therefore, council will decide to bring it to you again if it does. The second thing is, there is a very thin line on what is MPAC role on consequence management. Because this thing mainly has got to do with consequence management. MPAC is not involved, as Councillor Chabra said, in consequence management. But it follows up on decisions made. Have you recovered? Have you done this? And so on. It can't enter the ring before. It must enter after. But it's free to do its own investigation, that it's true on any matter, but on this specific matter, it is before council. hence I'm saying that decision was off.
Any other comments not already stated?
Chair. If you look at the first one, perhaps that in terms of reviewing, I would say, okay, we can review that. But MPAC at the same time, as I said, we must be able to recommend to council what needs to happen. It doesn't mean now we must be able, even it doesn't, nowhere in the law, in the amendment says that council must first decide on the matter. Council must what, the only thing that will be correct, which is always the right thing, it's only when it's front of the judiciary, then you cannot be able to deal with the matter. If a matter, it says in the amendment, because we mustn't be made as if we are taking ourselves some powers that we don't. It says we can deal with the issue and recommend to council. So part of this is to recommend to council. Whether council decide on the matter, but it's good that we can say, we can find ourselves to say, what is the approach? What do we want council? What do we want to recommend to council?
Yeah, but wasn't that item in committee or not?
No.
This one. Yeah, this one.
Was
Yeah,
it in committee?
so, yeah, but we are now in public discussing that.
But we didn't bring that check because the
So let's deal with this then.
we shouldn't have brought it.
I said, Chair, with your permission, I'm going to deal with all the matters.
No,
from the all
that is
together.
not right.
Then the Chair allowed me.
Yeah, but
That's fine.
And I'm just saying, it can be taken to in committee again for discussion, but my submission will be the same issue.
Yeah, so can we deal with that then later?
We deal with the in committee minutes.
Yeah.
Yes, then the last one,
Let's
Chair,
not forget
also,
to do that.
then the last one, Chair, then is also dealt with in the in committee minutes, because it has to do with the policy of council on the contractual workers that are in the council.
Okay, so that's
deal with that.
that's well.
Then, Chairperson, those are the matters arising. I wanted to bring to attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So this is the reviews that we had, and the minutes was already approved. So we can just proceed on that, taking that into account in drafting the minutes. Now I need to find myself on the agenda.
I'm
again.
sorry, Chair.
Oh, thank you for that. Thank you for that. So the next item is item.
Chairperson, I'm just being puzzled now. Just to take us back. If the matters were raised in closed session and we dealt with it now, shouldn't, because now already they're in open session now.
Yeah, and then when we realized that, we stopped it.
Okay.
And then we go back to the in session.
But I'm just thinking on the principle, is it also in council, they're in closed session? Because in MPAC, it
Yes.
tells us, okay.
Yes,
if
it was
it-
dealt with in committee.
If in council was dealt, yeah, because it says to us only matters that are in front of judiciary, they can be in closed session in MPAC meetings only.
Okay, so that's perfect.
Chair, it was the decision of MPAC to discuss those in committee. It's the decision of MPAC to decide what to do with them. You have just said, let's go back to in committee and deal with them there.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Okay, let's just change the numbering then. We are now at on page 15. So that the first one is the report of the strategic risk register. That's number 30. Number 31 is then the section 71 FMR report. That's 31. 32 is the FMR for the next period. That's number 32. And then the section 52 report. That number changes. It's not in fact 31, it becomes 33. And the clean audit report becomes number 34. Yeah, it was 33, it becomes number 34 now. And work plan, now number 35. And terms of reference becomes number 36. So the item on the strategic risk register, that is a report that we need to take note of. We are not requested to make a decision on that. So are there any comments, remarks, contributions on that report? Report on page 15 of the agenda. So if all of us have read it and are happy with it, then we can just that it was dealt with. Mrs. Lechaba.
No, thank you, Chair. Chair, this report is quite critical for us as MPAC to look at it, because also what it does in the trainings that we had, it was thoroughly told that the risk register, MPAC must always try to check and or do oversight on it. And that also emanates also with the fraud and corruption risk register that must always be in front of MPAC in terms of just to monitor it and do oversight on it. So that is why perhaps it's here, because we have to look at it, whether this risk in terms of what is going on in it, are we doing anything? Things are out of our control. Yes, they can be out of our control, but things that can be in our control, that what are we doing about it? For instance, you're finding your litigations. What can you do as Mr. What are we doing? And also in terms of your regional landfill, I mean, how far we are, as much as people, we can say that they are in council when we had the way, what you call it, the way reports, but however, how far are we going to meet the time? Are we going to meet our deadline? Are we going to be able to realize this in the time that we are? Because it has a risk in terms of the health in the region. It has also a risk in terms of the waste become a problem, a big problem in the Southern Cape, in the Garden Route district. So that is why, Chair, it's important for us, we get that assurance to say, are we going to meet the deadline? How far are we behind of the deadline of it? And what are the mitigation factors from our side?
I agree with you. My view on that was that we do have the report in front of us. The factors and the risks are listed. It was given residual ratings as well as the controls and the measures taken. So from here, we do get on our regular reports, we do get reports on each one of those items in various reports in front of us. If you want at this stage to interrogate any one of that items, you are welcome to do so. So my understanding was only this was for note, because all the items are dealt with in various other reports that comes before us from time to time. But you are welcome to raise any of that points if you want to at this stage.
Chair, just a point of clarification, page 18. One of the contributing factors is the last one, unable to source 216 million external funding to construct the site. Now, at some council meeting, as I can remember, the CFO mentioned that there was a problem with regards to Standard Bank. There was a misunderstanding with regard to a certain issue. I just want to know if that issue has been resolved.
My understanding at that stage was that was only the requirements of the bank that needs to be fulfilled, but you're welcome to respond to that.
Thank you, Chairperson. And if the council remembers correctly, there was we followed the procurement process. There were Standard Bank and DBSA bid for the loan. We awarded it to Standard Bank after doing the necessary calculations as per the requirements of ECM legislation. And then after awarding the loan to Standard Bank, we then entered into a period of, they then submitted their draft debt agreement, which we then went into a period of negotiation. They had a financial covenant clause. They had a number of clauses which we contested, which they were willing to amend, but there was one clause that spoke to a specific debt to revenue ratio that we are not able to meet. We indicated to Standard Bank that we were surprised that they had this ratio on their agreement, because if they consulted our financial records, they would see that we will not meet that requirement. They then acknowledged that they realized that they based that on their knowledge of the local municipalities. So we said to them, they will have to remove that clause if we were to conclude an agreement with them. They then, I think last week, Thursday, confirmed that they went to their credit committee again, and then the credit committee resolved that they are not able to remove that clause. So we will now have to follow a process of formally changing the award through the bid committees. This will be reported. Then, because DBSA was another bidder, we will then, the evaluation committee will then consider to recommend to the accounting officer to amend the award from Standard Bank to DBSA.
Are they willing to waive that requirement?
Yes, that requirement is not from DBSA, it is from Standard Bank, and they are not willing to waive that requirement. So essentially, we will not be able to move forward with Standard Bank, but we will now follow a process of approaching DBSA. They have contacted us numerous times since learning that they were unsuccessful to check whether the agreement with Standard Bank has moved forward, indicating that they are still very keen on engaging with us on this project, which, if you think about it, is perhaps more appropriate for this project to be funded by the Development Bank of South Africa as opposed to a commercial bank. When we saw the bid from Standard Bank and then did not see any bids from Nedbank or ABSA or Investec, we did wonder, how was the Standard Bank requirement different than the other commercial banks? But through working through the draft debt agreement and then them acknowledging that that ratio was not part of the initial evaluation of us, we then realized that Standard Bank, as the other commercial banks, might not be the most appropriate funding for this type of project. But that we trust that our work now with DBSA will be successful in obtaining funding.
Follow up with regards to that. What will be the impact of if this loan is not finalized within the next few weeks or months? So what will be the impact on the project? I know somewhere in February, construction must already start with I don't know what exactly it is, but what will be the impact?
Is there an answer on that?
Yeah, I'll give Clive to give an answer. But if you look at the report, Chairperson, this is our top risk.
Yes,
yes. Put it on top, yes. Delivery.
The 13.
Because of the issues that Councillor Java has referred to. We knew that there will be a lot of things happening and that were put under pressure by Petro SA because of their space. However, a study has just been completed by a consulting company that has concluded that we can still use Petro SA's landfill site for a longer period. What is outstanding now is for us to go to a meeting with Petro SA, present the study and say, look at this, we can still continue. So that aspect of a disaster is being managed very closely. But in terms of the program, yes, it will be impacted by these delays caused now by Standard Bank. We asked Treasury last week, like I said in council, to advise us, and they gave us 2 sentences, basically to say it's your decision. So Treasury has said we must decide as this municipality. That's why the CFO is now saying we're approaching DBSA because we cannot risk putting this municipality into that contract with Standard Bank when we can see that it's not in the best interest.
Following on that, the other B municipalities involved, have they committed either in writing or by resolution or in a concrete manner which can, where you can state, yes, they have committed and the documentation is in place?
Councillor Akker, yes, they've committed by a council resolution to the project.
All of them?
All of them.
Okay, thank
All of them. And we, however, still want them to sign contracts for us to, over and above the bylaw, etc., which enables us to build. We also want a contract with them in place. They are aware of it. They didn't object to it. They said if they were us, they would have done the same. So, but the only thing that is keeping us from signing the contract is we need the prices in those contracts.
Okay.
So as the construction tender concludes, as the operation running the site, the operations tender concludes, which is only scheduled for a few months in the future, those contracts cannot be signed. But the Bs are aware that they will sign a contract with us because of our own risk we need to mitigate to be able to collect on the tariff that they must pay.
So our risks are substantially reduced by the fact that there are council resolutions from their side, and we also have a bylaw from our side. But it is our obligation, this whole landfill thing.
And it isn't a nice to have service, Chairperson, that waste, they must dump it somewhere.
Yeah.
And where will they dump it if not?
Chairperson, yeah, in absolute worst case scenario, we've got the council resolution from the municipality. We have visited, had an on-site meeting on the 19th of October. Councillor Bellis and Councillor Mayron was present. They concluded that they do have space there in Oudtshoorn until 2050. And our investigation showed actually that there is ample space for that. And I would like to councillors also maybe to confirm that you've done the site visit yourself. So, but that is in absolute worst case scenario. We do have some mitigation plans in place.
Chair, if I might just follow up on that, we've got that sort of option. That'd be a very expensive option for everyone to use.
Yeah.
But this new report from Petro SA is the saving rate, but at the same time, and we just discussed this at length, capital expenditure will soar over time. So my advice would be that we don't take our foot off the matter and get it done, because this even the first cell, if we postpone that by a year, the price increase would be exponential.
Good, thank you for that. Any other items that any one of committee members wants to interrogate at this stage? Mr. Java?
The matter of, it shows there that the reputation risk, threat or danger to the goodwill of the entity, and it's on red. For me, the residual is not so high, but it's a alarm, it's a concern because it's on red. So then I think it is proper then in the next meeting that to have the what you call your fraud and corruption risk register to be in place.
Thank you. And this reputation risk under that same item, this thing about the disgruntled workforce, that came to me as a surprise or a shock or something like that, because I was always under the impression that this can be one of the nicest places to work for.
No, thank you, Shane. That's what happens when you deal with risk management. It appears as though it's a fact. No, it's a risk. If you can have a disgruntled workforce, risk is what will happen. If you can have it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just another question, maybe a stupid one. Financial stability, I think it's on page 19. One of the listed controls there is the revenue enhancement committee established. That's to the MM. Is that in place or is it in process? Or one of the listed controls?
Thanks. Can I deflect to the CFO? He wants to deal with that. So his hand quickly raised.
No, Councillor, that the MM established that committee, I think it was in 2019. So that committee has sat, and the projects that have been identified, they are all dealt with individually, and there's now even a project committee, catalytic project steering committee that deals with those projects. So we should perhaps update that to refer that to the more recent committees that has been established, but that is the purpose of those committees that have been constituted.
Okay, and the last one that I want to ask a question about is this lack of compliance and lack of experience in the risk of possible increased litigation. So I believe that is addressed. That's why we have a number of council advocates and lawyers and things appointed in the municipality.
Yes, Chair, thank you very much. There's a risk of increased litigation against the municipality if there's lack of compliance to contract management, if there's lack of knowledge of these issues, and if you don't have capacity inside. So we are going to commit mistakes and everything, everyone is gonna sue us. So that risk is being managed by people like Advocate Nadima, Advocate McKinney, and some other lawyers that are sitting in your meetings.
That's how I understand. Thank you.
Chair, in that note, then why is it a risk if we have a panel and then also internally we have to advocate? Why do we put it as a, because it's red? I think from the risk, the author of the risk register, if Chair, if they can give us why.
If I may come in, and thank you, Chair. The red is at inherent level without considering what we have in the institution. So if you look only at your far right, it reduced from 15 to 8.3. Then we have considered what we have. Even after we have considered what we have, it's still on amber, not at green, probably due to the impact if that risk materializes. Because when you look at risk, you look at two things: the likelihood of it happening and the impact it will have on the institution. And then it's rated on such. Maybe to add on all those controls that are there, we've got a system that evaluate or assess the effectiveness and the adequacy of that particular control. Then it takes you to a residual risk. It's a scientific exercise that we do. So at inherent level, if I may be straight, the reason why it's red, it's because at that point we don't consider any control. We are saying if we don't have controls, what impact will be set? Then we put in controls, then we reduce it to 8.3, which is lower than 15, given the controls that we have.
Thank you. Okay, so then we can, minute that we have noted the report. Thank you for that. Then items 31 and 32. May I ask maybe if we've dealt with those two items, if we just take a short break for 5 minutes. Anyone who stretch legs, need to walk and drive. So after this, not before. Not be So the 31 is then the July report of the FMR, and 32 is the August report of the FMR. So is it appropriate, that we deal with them together, or should we do them individually? Because I actually want to do them together.
Chair can deal with them together. In any event, you've already dealt with them at other levels in the council.
Yeah.
But your committee, if it still has issues, it can.
But it says we must interrogate and know. That's what the report says.
We invite you. We know you've dealt with it in council. But because you are a committee of council that must look, maybe there was not enough time in council and somebody saw something, maybe it's an opportunity.
Okay, so we have dealt with this in other reports, but both of them are now open for interrogation. I personally, I read through it, and I am convinced that most people had. I must confess, I only read this document thoroughly since I became the chair.
Say just one thing. Page 35. Rental of facilities and equipment. There is a total income of 195,000 plus. And then if you go to, that's the first report. And then if you go to the second report, I think it's page 60 or something. There is no, let me just go there.
Page 60 something.
Page 60, yeah, rentals of facilities and equipment. The municipality recorded no income for rental of facilities for ending August. Why is that? That we recorded no income for that period. Specifically, seeing that we got 195,000 the previous month, why is it now rental remains rental for a period until maybe it was cancelled? I don't know why. Maybe it was cancelled in totality or whatever. I don't know.
No,
Maybe it's a
Chairperson,
stupid
I
thing.
think, no, I don't think it's a stupid question that those two must talk to each other. I can't answer you straight off the bat. I think there wouldn't have been a movement of income once it's been recorded. I'm not, if we make a mistake, we could move it, but I'm not aware of any instance of that. So I think the wording on that report is faulty. We'll have to have a look at that.
So if we can just come back to the committee on that. I understand. So we budget for a year. So it sometimes happens that we spend the money right in the beginning or only in the end, and then you have the discrepancies of having not spent or what appears to overspend and whatever. So that I understand, but on that one, maybe we need a proper answer.
Maybe just to say that I see that the first one reports about July and the second one reports to August. But it is, I will have a look at that.
Yeah. The other thing, I don't have it now exactly in front of me, but my understanding is that this report must be submitted within 10 days after each month. So now we are only sitting with the one of August, and where's the one for September?
Sure. But these reports are, the 10-day requirement, Chairperson, is not to MPAC.
To council.
To council.
Okay.
So those numbers
To provincial treasurer. So Chair, these reports are submitted to those authorities. And at an appropriate time, we present them to council. And then after a quarter, we present a consolidated report of one of them in terms of section 2. MPAC looks at these reports when it gets an opportunity, but it doesn't look at them before they go to
Okay, I understand that.
those authorities, because it may just be impossible for MPAC to look at them before they go. But once they've been submitted, those people comment. If there's anything wrong, they come back to us, which for now we can assure you, I've not been advised of anything untoward. Thank you.
Chairperson.
Mrs. Lechaba?
Chair, just to assist it also is that, Chair, this report, they must come here. It's by law, it's in the act. Yes, the timing, I had a question with section 57. The mayor's report of the monthly one, that it's supposed to serve in MPAC. It's supposed to serve not only to receive it afterwards. If it has served in a month, maybe I don't know the timing of it, but I'm sure it's supposed to equally serve, because in committees of oversight, like also your audit committee, it's supposed to serve, and also as to us, it's supposed to serve. and then there's section 71. But Chair, also just for me, in terms of the content of the report, you find that, I'll give an example. I think there must be improvement of this report. You find an example that when I was going through pages 71, you go to pages 71, you look there under, I was looking at senior managers of the municipality, checking what is on the item, other benefit and allowances. First, I want to understand that. And secondly, when it goes to percentage, I don't know what is div 0, what. It's supposed to give me a percentage to say what, in terms of it gives us that. I think that should be something that they clean up the report or whatever it is, so that they can give us a little bit of a cleaner report. But I equally want to know what is the other benefit and allowances. And also in terms of the monthly, the actual monthly and the actual. I don't understand what other allowances.
Are you asking?
I'm asking, but I'm also making a comment to say the report is not as clean as it's supposed to be.
Mr. De Jager?
Yes, Chairperson. Under other allowances are things like SMTs, for instance, that are paid to councillors.
No, for senior managers.
Oh, sorry, senior managers.
It's the same. The same page is under.
That's, I think there's between 2,000 and 4,000. But it would be the same. So it wouldn't be allowances in a normal way. We would have a structured housing allowance or pension, etc. It would be definitely one of the main ones would be SMT payments that is paid to a senior manager on the occasion that, for instance, there's traveling. But it is not it is an allowance paid per occasion. It's not part of a structured package.
But Mr. De Jager, for the purpose of proper oversight, can you have a specific answer then on that at a later stage, please? That we make sure we are not guessing now.
No, I can definitely say SMTs would feature there, but we can give you a breakdown if you wish.
Okay, thank you. I just want to read here on page 22, the executive summary in the report. It says, according to the, I'll come back to you. According to the MA section 71, the accounting officer of a municipality must, by no later than 10 working days after the end of each month, submit to the mayor of the municipality and the relevant provincial treasury a statement in the prescribed format on the state of the municipality's budget. The purpose of the report is to inform the municipal council of the municipal position of the municipality. Now, at what stage and in terms of what authority does that come to us? Because now it's now here in front of us, but how did it happen?
Amendment Act, Chair.
Say again?
Your Amendment Act.
The Amendment Act.
Yes.
Okay, good. That's a good answer. Thank you.
Chair, the powers of MPAC have been reviewed with the new amendments.
79A.
I am sitting here not able to answer you why specifically this particular report must come here. But if you look at the guidelines on what MPAC must consider, among a plethora of things, they can look at section 7. Yeah. I'm talking about the guidelines that have been issued. So it's up to MPAC to decide what it wants to come in. You decide, because these reports are given to you on a monthly, to the mayor on a monthly basis. They serve in your agendas and so on. If you feel that you want them permanently here, as the administration, we have no problem.
Yeah, we will do so
to bring the
in good time.
But it must be your decision. But it's in terms of the guidelines, I understand it, that among the things you can look at is maybe section 7.1. Whether you want it all the time, it's fine.
Okay, thank you. So in terms of that 79A amendment, so we had to do our own what's called, we call the word terms of reference, which we did in February. But I understand that we also expect some regulations to be issued in terms of that amendment, or is that not correct?
Every time there's an amendment, Chair, the regulations are issued. I'm not sure now when the regulations have been issued and the Structures Act as it relates to them.
You don't need to answer that if you're not sure.
No, no,
I was
okay. Through you, Chair, we are not aware of any regulation that has been issued. We are anticipating that they will soon be issued, but what we're working on now are the guidelines. And I can assure the chairperson that everything that is on those on the act itself, we've been doing even before the amendments to the act. But we are using the guidelines, and our terms of reference that were approved by council are in line with the guidelines.
Yeah. Thank you. Anything else on this?
I didn't finish, Chair.
No, you're welcome.
Thank you. Then I wanted to ask in terms of the payment in leave of leave. It's here in this report. As I've asked, that in terms of payment of senior managers, I'm not aware that senior managers should get payments in lieu of leave. So how did that happen, or is that, am I incorrect, or am I, through you, Chairperson? What does the policy say? What does the act say in terms of payment of leave, in terms of senior managers, Chairperson? Asking in terms of senior managers.
Thank you, Chair. This municipality has got its own policies that it implements, including payment of leave. So that's one aspect of it. And that policy does not differentiate between managers, senior, or whatever. So that's the situation. During the period under review, which is the reports in front of you, I am not aware of any senior manager that has been paid for leave.
There is, it's written here, there's amounts.
I'm saying during the period under review, which is this year I'm here, I am not aware of any senior manager that has been paid.
Is that page 71?
Chairperson, through you, I'm saying, I'm asking in this
Which
report,
page are you on?
on 71, there's an amount of 260.
That's the budgeted amount. Council.
Yeah,
There hasn't been any.
It's not.
there haven't been.
Yes, that's why I'm saying, Chair, during the period under review, as the accounting officer, I'm not aware of any senior manager that has been paid leave. That's the first, that's the second. Remember, I've started with the policy, and I'm saying there is no such thing. The third thing, Chair, is that there was a contention in the upper limits for senior managers that they must not be paid, they must not encash leave. That thing, Chairperson, is dealt with at national level, because many people in the country, in municipalities, have challenged it. To say it's discriminatory, it has no basis. You can't just write something because you like it. And people are challenging it to say, how do you say this employee of this municipality must encash their leave, but the next employee cannot encash their leave? That part is being discussed. In any event, the whole upper limits debate, and I think councillors, I must make you aware that it's being challenged from where it started, because your national minister of COGTA has never complied, all of them, with their own regulations in publishing those upper limits. Because the regulations say the minister must, one, annually determine the upper limits, two, before 31 March, must. And you can check all the upper limits notices. They were either done in December, in November, and everywhere. People have said that non-compliance by the very minister who publishes is fatal to the regulation. And that is the subject of a lot of court processes. It includes, Councillor Chaba, this debate about why would you say, let's take a budget manager who incidentally earns more than his senior, who's the CFO. Because the CFO, but can encourage fairly, but he, who is a senior, who earns less than this person, cannot encash fairly. So it is being challenged. And in terms of this report in front of you, there is nobody who has been paid or encashed leave as a senior manager. So that's the whole issue. And it's a very nice debate, but the lawyers are dealing with it because even the minister herself has asked her, why would you wake up, Chairperson, and say, I like that employee, she can have everything, but the next one who's their boss must not get anything. And those are the debates that are happening. Okay. As we speak now, your senior managers, CFO and others, during the beginning of this financial year, received 0 increase. Yourselves as councillors have gotten your 3%. Their juniors, all of them, have gotten their 6%. But the CFO, him, and Tricks, and everybody else, nothing. As a result, Jan Willem, now earns less than the manager that reports to him. And that's a situation that is obtaining here. Your accounting officer who is sitting next to you earns less than his juniors. That is the situation that is obtaining here. So when we look at these things, we look at them holistically as to what is happening, but we follow the law. We follow the law, and a lot of submissions have been made to the provincial government by this council and a number of things. And those things will be resolved at an appropriate time. Thank you, Chair.
You need to address matters like that.
Yes.
I thought the answer was because that are the people who earns the big bucks.
No,
But
you know, it's very unfortunate because there is a perception that senior managers and others earn more. If you look at their benefits, their leave days, just leave days, it's 24.
But isn't it something that we should address?
It is being.
Council Chair,
It,
we're moving away now.
No, Chair. I'm just giving you the context.
Yeah.
I'm saying, for instance, benefits for your senior managers.
Yeah.
They are less than the permanently employed staff. For instance, the annual leave days for Makagin are more than the leave days for Diakha. Just a simple thing. He can go to leave more than the other man, and there's no reason explained. So those are the issues, Chair, that on a regular basis we can debate.
Thank you. Something else from your side?
No, Chair, I was saying you're diverting now from the extra.
Yeah. I know.
No.
So then we've dealt with items 31 and 32. Anyone else who make some comments on that? Then this was for interrogation and noting. Okay, then we will proceed to item 33 after a 10-minute break. We will start in again at let's make it 7 minutes. Thank you. Monsieur, as jy reg is, Rihanna. Okay, the next item is then the newly numbered 33. The section 52 is all responsibilities of the mayor. And the recommendation is that council notes, actually notes the quarterly report on the implementation of the budget and the financial affairs of the municipality for the quarter ending 30th of September. And I went through the report myself, specifically the color-coded items in gray that are not met yet. And in the report itself dealt with the matters and the reasons why they are still in gray. And so it's now the opportunity, I believe everyone went through the report, to comment or have questions of any nature. The report starts on page 81 and the part on the management performance on page 140. Remarks, comments, questions, Mrs. Lechava?
Thank you, Chair. This is the year report. Jefferson, first, I wanted to put to the in term first on pages 101, in terms of the unspent conditional grant, we are sitting there now. Of course, being in the new financial, but how far are we now from spending these grants? And also in terms of dealing with the contingent liabilities that are sitting there, they're very high. What are likely of us having this contingent liabilities, winning them or not, because they it's quite a number, an amount. And also, Chairperson, when it comes to debtors analysis, we have agreed that the debtors, we need to these debts, they must be recovered. And how far are we? We can see that they, in terms of the age analysis, because as we have said today, they've said if you is a prescription of debt. So if you do not act accordingly, then it's going to go through a specific time. And as a municipality, we're expecting that the administration should act within the prescribed time so that we recover these debts. So we see there. And also in terms of credit, creditors, the law says very specific. There is a creditor there. Whether they were paid within a certain period of time, we see that there were outstanding ones. And why so? Because we must pay within a time frame of things. But most importantly, it's also, as I said, the conditional grants are there, but are we moving, are we spending what is supposed to spend at a given period of time?
Thank you. I said the Yahara opportunity or MM, but before that, I see that the unspent capital and the debts are dealt with in from page 115 forward. But if you can, one of you can just deal with the question of unspent capital and the debts recovered and the creditors. But also my one concern since I became a councillor a year ago was this thing about the big thing about debtors, mainly from fire breaks on farms and fires that were started on farms. And that claims that becomes prescripted. And if we don't issue summons against these people, they will pay. And then the claims of most of them will or has already been prescribed. So I don't know what other district municipalities do with this, because that's real. If we entitle and if they need to pay, then we need to summons. If there's our grey, so we do. Okay, good. And most of them are always opposed or defended by the insurance companies, because they are the ones who need to pay. But we need to pull through, push through, and get some examples from the seasons. MM?
No, thanks, Chair. I think you would have heard me in a number of forums where I've addressed the issue of the fire service. It's not unique to us in terms of collecting the debt. It's a very expensive service. You know how much it costs to wire that chopper to put out a fire. It's hundreds of thousands of rands in just a few hours. In this service, nobody pays for it, and it takes from the equitable share. So there is a national review of the whole fire services laws, because there are so many loopholes in the law about people denying their responsibility, taking lawyers, and insurance always trying to run away from them. So you will find, in terms of our debt impairment, this is the biggest component, because we have to impair this debt, and we are not really doing well as a country. Hence, we have concluded that this service is now free, because people are getting it for free. In fact, your Finance and Fiscal Commission has also looked at this and said, maybe municipalities must be allowed to raise a levy or a tax on this thing. But that has been a serious political, because now your communities, another tax coming and so on. But that's the debate. In terms of our efforts then to collect, you can ask Advocate Najima the same. We're doing what we can. Our lawyers are always on the spot. We're not collecting what we're supposed to get, and it's very bad. And we're not getting it. And all the municipalities, district municipalities face the same thing. We're not getting it. And there is a push that national government must decide on this. We can't pretend it's a service that it pays for itself. Everybody must accept that fire is not a service that pays for itself, and therefore, nationally, there must be a specific provision. It's just similar to the environmental health service. It was given to districts, the funds did not follow the function. So these guys, these HPs that go around checking these stores and doing everything, there's no income coming from that. So those are the two, but in terms of debt, fire services is a problem, but we're doing what we're supposed to do. As it relates to spending grants, conditional grants, we're doing very well in spending conditional grants. And those that have been unspent, we apply for necessary rollovers, and they're approved, because if you show good cause why, the funder understands. And we were discussing this morning at MENCOM, very good news of our rollovers have been approved, because they can see our performance in terms of grants. Creditors, we insist on 30 days councillors must be paid. You will recall, I don't know, Councillor Chaba, last year, our discussion with the AG, whether we pay on statement or on invoice. If you remember that debate, we didn't find, there was no finding on us in that. So we're paying on everything. Sometimes it's the creditors themselves that create problems, because some submit their invoices late, or a lot of things happen. But our staff as well, some drop the ball. It's natural that they will drop the ball, but we are on them. But by and large, we are paying within the prescribed law to pay creditors within 30 days, especially small businesses that do not have capital. We ensure that we pay them. And as I sit here, I am satisfied that I have not even had a service provider storming to my office demanding payment, because they have been paid. Thank you.
Any other comments or remarks or questions on that? Okay, so then we can minute that section 52 report has been dealt with and noted. Then Item 34 is report on the clean audit for 20 and 21. So the purpose of the report is to report on the progress of the audit findings in the Audit General's report for the 2022 and 2021 management report. And it is required that MPAC take note of the progress of the findings for the 2021 financial year as reported under the other matters in this report. I'll give you a minute. During the audit, some matters needed attention as identified by the AG that needs to be addressed by management as reported under other matters in the report. And all these findings are listed in the annexure attached to this. And Mrs. Kachaba.
Thank you, Chair. No, I was checking it's for 2020 to 2021.
Yeah.
Meaning that that I wanted to check whether how now audit process is going for us.
So my understanding is that the first or the draft of the report will be in our possession halfway through November, plus minus the 17th. But you can answer that.
I can check. The latest report is that up to this morning, they had issued about 75 RFIs. Those are requests for information. Only 3 were outstanding this morning, so everything has been responded to. In terms of communication of findings, I'm not aware as I sit here if they have already issued any, but we do expect this time of the audit that they might start issuing communications or commerce. Last year, our first was issued on the 29th of October last year. So this year, I'm expecting this week that there might be the first or the second or the third command, and we'll deal with them as they come. Other than that, the audit is progressing very well, and RFIs on many things have already been closed. And today, one of the key things was just to verify employees. That is the certain, they select a certain segment of people that must come and present themselves, that you are not a ghost, that you are here. So there's a number that they ask.
Number of ghosts.
So there's a number that they are, so this is the official that they ask, so they've been going there to say, yes, we are here, we work here indeed. So they are doing those things. Otherwise, up to last week and our last meeting with them, there was nothing. Last week, we had our audit committee meeting. The Auditor General was there. They presented on everything, their strategy, their plan, they're still in order. And I think we do expect our draft management letter by 17 November. 14 November, we expect the draft management letter, and then we'll deal with that. We expect the final report as agreed by end of November. Thank you, Chair. So in terms of Circular 63, we have been again instructed by National Treasury and Provincial Treasury to stick to Circular 63. So this council must finish the process in December. I know the way we use that we must look at it in January. No, it's not allowed. All municipalities must stick to Circular 63 and finish their work in December. Thank you, Chair.
We will deal with Circular 63 on our next item. Thank you for that. So my understanding is then that approximately halfway through November, we will get the first draft.
Yes.
Okay, good. Anything else that anyone wants to comment on or interrogate or ask questions? This report is for noting.
Just on that, I am attending on Thursday and Friday the Provincial Municipal Managers Forum. The Department of Local Government is part of that. Among the things they are going to ask us is our readiness to comply with Circular 63. So I'm going there to tell them that we are watching ahead in terms of the council resolution.
We will deal that with that in the next slide.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
So are we done? Noted then? All happy? Then page 4 of the agenda, impact 35, that is then the work plan from page 144 onwards. And in that is also dealt with this Circular 63 report. Now, I remember that on our previous meeting and the one before that, we had the situation that we are a number of new and inexperienced councillors dealing with MPAC or being MPAC members and dealing with the AG report in such a short space of time. And we discussed the possibility to extend that with a month. But I had a look at that, and in that same recommendation, we add a paragraph in which we said, and in the next year, we will revisit that because then people are a little bit more experienced with a year of experience and start to understand how it works and so on. So also taking into consideration what MM just said, I also feel that we should not go for that extension and extend it for a month. And the reason why I changed my mind on that is when I learned that it is not correct to say that we only received the report on the 30th of November. There's throughout reporting between staff and the AG, and then halfway in November, we will receive the first draft, which most probably will change very little or nothing up to December. So it's not correct to say that we only now have the 2 weeks to deal with our report, need to finalize that in 2 weeks' time, because it's actually a month. So my feeling is also to, with what MM just said, just to get it done, because it's halfway through the year already. Half of the year is gone already, and there's only 6 months left in the new year. If we chip up there another month or two, then there's only 4 months left to rectify and to implement whatever need to be implemented on the findings, etc. So, any comments or questions or remarks on this report, and also on what I just said on the Circular 63 situation? The table is open. Mrs. Java.
Thank you, Chair. Chairperson, yes, for us to do Circular 63, it is what is recommended, but it is not compulsory. The reason why I'm saying that, in fact, they probably fall when we attend all functions in the country. There's probably 4 or 5 municipalities who are doing Circular 63 for the reasons, Chairperson, of such nature. That after your Auditor General has given you the outcome, let's say one time they can be late, which is it also have happened. Secondly, it could be that when you get those the outcome, you are supposed now to deal with the report. At the same time, you are supposed also that the public must engage with you in that report. So, and also if there are areas that you need to go and also to what you call it, site visits in that report, you must also make provision for that. It could be that at this moment in time, I'll give an example. If the landfill was happening and then something comes out in the report, you want to see the landfill so that when you do your oversight report, you can apply your mind, then you go and do what exactly that.
So it gives you the timing of the whole thing. If you do not have enough timing, you might miss things that are very critical. Remember that report, Chairperson, it's about you approve, you say council must approve without reservation or with reservation. Meaning that you as a committee, you have done everything within the law to say that there are no reservations, even including your committee. What I found it myself in the previous year, there were 2 members of the committee who had reservation and who said, I note that I'm not going to be taking this oversight report into council, and and that particular members, we do not agree at that moment in time. Based on the fact, Chairperson, because when you start, you must be able to understand what you are, as Councillor Lechaba, as any councillor here, you must make sure that when you are giving for councillor for reservation or no reservation, you have your conscience is clear. So all I'm saying that for new councillors, and I still repeat, even for ourselves in this new cycle, it was ensure that we understand everything, and we also equally so that if we find ourselves, because I, as the chairperson, you even for the process, you get even 1 day to write your oversight report, which is not supposed to be correct. Chairperson, we have done that, but I'm saying, at what cost do you do that? At what cost? So we're giving all those experiences to council, to the committee, to say we must be able to apply our mind. We must be able to see that, and we did put forth these things to the authors of the report, and as National Treasury is saying that yes, it is good because we want everybody, but it doesn't mean that it must make sure council, particularly this committee, so that it doesn't exercise its full authority with consciousness that they are doing everything they did to ensure that everything is within that report. So all I'm saying is that if the committee decides otherwise, if there's some reservation, you must be able to take that, Chairperson, because if we have not been able to exercise enough time to be able to apply our mind, then you must be able to take that if the committee wishes so.
Thank you. Any other remarks, comments? Amen.
No, Chair, I hear what the councillors are saying, and it's not a new debate in terms of how we do the annual report process. There was a misconception that after the annual report has been tabled in council, it must go for public participation. That's not the point, that's not correct. When this report, the annual report is tabled in council, it's done, it's finished. You would have done your public participation process. That's why we have an annual report process plan, which you as councillors approved, which takes you to the day of tabling the annual report. It's there. So members of the public have enough opportunity to interact as we speak with the annual report. It's in the public domain. The draft was adopted in August. It's in the public domain. People are making comments when they have to. The second thing is, this country has to move forward, and good practices are being encouraged. And in terms of National Treasury, Circular 63 is good practice. Those municipalities that are not doing it are coming to us, they are striving to say, assist us, how do you do it? So, Garden Road, if you decide to move a step backwards, then it's your decision. Because we are an example of good practice where we have implemented Circular 63 for years and without any problems. And the council, the oversight committee has presented its reports without reservations. You can go to the record and find it's there. So this year, I heard this from Mr. Lulio that there is a view that we look at January. And I have canvassed it with Provincial Treasurer and National Treasury. We have been told, stick to Circular 63. We are pushing for all municipalities to stick to Circular 63. If you now go backwards, then you're making our life very difficult because how do we force other people if those that have been doing it right are now moving backwards? So that's what it is. But then when all is said and done, it's a council decision because the annual report process plan was approved by council to be concluded in December. And that's what we're working on. Until maybe council changes, then that's where we are. It's concerned for MPAC to adopt a process that is contrary to what council has approved already. That's just my only concern that I have. But MPAC can still propose to council to review its process plan if everybody agrees. But good practice, what we've been doing, we are told that we must stick to Circular 63. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you. I'll give you a chance. Anyone else? So having listened to Mrs. Lechaba, I sort of had this deja vu that was why I was sort of in agreement with what the proposal was, and I understand that that line of argument. And the reason why I've changed my mind on it was, as I've said, there's three things. The one is the fact that we do get a report earlier than what I thought. And what I didn't know was that when auditing, it's already a process. So the municipality is already working on the findings and on what's going on. So I came to the conclusion that I was wrong to believe we only will hear for the first time on the 30th of November what's going on and then have 2 weeks to respond. So that changed my mind on that. And the second thing is, what I didn't realize last year at this stage is in any event, we will go in the recess halfway through December. So it is 2 or 3 weeks gone in any event that will not assist us and in which we will not working on it until coming to January. And also now the third thing was this work plan that's in front of us that we need to accept today and recommend to council, make provision for this process as I've just described. And that's why I had the mind change of agreeing that we remain with the provisions of circular 63. That's mine. So it's your turn.
Thank you. Lastly, Chair, I think, Chair, that is why that work plan, because the work plan is assisting you now for going forward, but you didn't have meetings every month so that you can take yourself through every month. You had meetings quarterly. You also equally in terms of your public participation in the time after the AG has given its findings. They should be before you write your report and oversight as the chairperson. The public should have engaged that. Even now, chairperson, if you are saying that as the MM is alluding, that the public is engaging with the material or with the annual report itself, I made it also a point to just check the other day. The financial statements are not presented; they're unaudited there. So also again, the public, what must they work on? So what I'm trying to say, Chair, if the flow of events, they were as smooth as they can be, then it's fine. But if where I'm sitting now and having the experience that I got, that we might be lost within a very short period of time to do certain things that are critical. By the way, council, when they also approve the process plan, I've asked Mr. Loliwe to check whether council approved the circular 63. I think that it was not approved. That is what I got from Mr. Loliwe. That is not necessary that it was approved for circular 63, because it was on those basis that so that you are able to have a space so that you can be safe, because also equally so, because by law, this function is given to MPAC
to do the annual report, whether you go for 60/63 or you go until the next year. You must also equally apply your mind, because as I said, it's about application of your mind, if you can see that the time is short. So Chairperson, I leave it to that, but I'm saying this was exactly that. We asked for leeway so that next year, by January, you will be starting from January, having the meetings, so that by the time you come in that, well, now you can't say that you didn't have enough of that, you didn't have enough of time, because you have made a provision in your work plan.
So in terms of the work plan, thank you for that, Mrs. Lechaba. You will see from page 148 onward, the whole process is set out in this document with the frequencies, annually, biannually, quarterly, when necessary, etc. So now for the approval of this, we need to accept this now, to approve that. That's what we need to do now.
Yes.
Yeah.
But through your chair, maybe you need to take a decision first on circular 63.
Yeah, I understand that.
Because if then we continue with circular 63 as suggested,
Then we need
then there
some
are few changes that
amendments.
we have to amend before we take it to
Yeah.
council.
So my feeling is this at this stage, and correct me if I'm wrong, having listened to Mrs. Lechaba, that the other members of MPAC are in agreement with the work plan as amended to make provision again for circular 63. Is that what you want to decide, want to recommend? I've heard Mrs. Lechaba, a view on that. Any other comments or remarks?
I've got a comment. I think we all agreed with Lechaba when she explained that option. But my sense, what I get from administration, is that they're used to this, the way they do it, and that we should stick to it.
Yes. Yes, Chair. I'm also very sympathetic towards what Councillor Saba is saying with the previous 5 years experience with regards to this. However, I would also suggest that we are in the process, that stick to the process and make sure that we stick to circular 63 there.
Rather earlier than later, if everything's done. Any other remarks from anyone else who didn't have the opportunity to speak on this?
So I would then propose that we accept the work plan with the amendments.
Okay, I've got the proposal for that.
I'll second that.
And I've got the secondant. So voting against it then is Councillor Lechaba, and then the majority, the others all voting in favour of. That is then.
Chairperson, can I just?
Yes, Mr. Dalton.
For my own clarity, if I've listened to what the MN said previously, it said that we can actually move this whole process about 2 weeks forward. Not forward, yeah. He said in the middle of November. And I can remember when we did this, we were worried, the officials were all worried that the time is too short and we will go on in recess. But that means, if the MM is correct, we have an extra 2 weeks to do that part right at the end of the year. Am I correct? If I heard him correct? If that is correct, then I would also suggest we finish and get done with it. Stick to 63, circular 63.
Thank you, Chair. The process to write the annual report begins when the draft annual report is tabled in council, and then members of the public are invited to submit comments. So that's the beginning of the process to write the annual report. But the components of that annual report would include the outcomes of the Auditor General's work. So the bulk of the work of the annual report is done. Now, in November, we are going to receive the draft management letter from Auditor General. That gives you, and when is the draft report coming, Sebo? draft report of the AG.
The draft management letter is the 14th of November.
Yes.
And then I think it's a bit later, maybe the 25th is the draft.
So between those periods, you already have an idea as to what is the decision of the AG on your affairs. So your process can begin. What we do as the administration, because we know that councillors are not full-time and so on, we prepare the work, we write the reports literally. We make sure that we make your work easy. Then we present with the reports, we give it to you. You can change and amend and do whatever you want to put in the report, but you don't have to do much because we give you the work, everything, whatever you are looking for, we present it there. We present the AG's views as they are. We present the performance outcomes as they are. Everything, compliance as it is, it's there. So the MPAC doesn't have to worry that it will have to consult thousands and thousands of reports to write its report. We exist to give you that capacity. We do that. And it is then your report because we say, we've done this, please work on it. It's not ours, so that you are happy that it is your report. That is what we've been doing over the years, and it has worked wonders. And I was present in many council meetings when this committee was applauded for its work on the annual report. So there is no time to be lost. And I just want to emphasize this point, Chair. After the Auditor General has finalized their report and the annual report has been tabled in council, the process is finished. There is no other public participation process after that. You can't look at the annual, the AG's final report and now try to check for public comment. The only thing you do at that point, you submit the tabled annual report to the Treasury and to the other relevant authorities, and that's the end.
Yeah. And Mr. Delta, we are actually done, Mrs. Chava. We actually already voted on.
Yeah,
But I'll give you another chance, Mr. Delta, just to give you some comfort. I also discussed this with Mr. Loliwe and Mr. De Jager, and that is what I got a lot of my information from. Whether they are in a position and prepared to go through everything, and just again to confirm what the MM said. So that report of the AG is there, it's final. We need to go through it and to answer to that and in our report and deal with the matters. So also I'm comfortable that I am assured that it is enough time. I'll give you another chance, Mrs. Lachava.
Okay, I just wanted to find out in terms of the public participation after the AG has given the report. How long is it that it should be out? Because also there is a time that you also need to wait for the audit committee report also before you write also. So, and also the public participation or the public comments that also to be incorporated in that report. How long?
Okay, my understanding is that it must be finalized by the 31st of December, which means it's actually the 14th, 15th, 16th when we are done. And yes, my understanding is that we need to include the information from the what's that committee called? Audit committee and the internal audit committee. We include all that information in our report.
Chairperson, you didn't hear my question. My question is from the public participation process. How long time do you have to get those comments? What is the closing time from the public participation? Because the report, in the years we might not have had comments. Let's assume that we have comments. When can one be able to?
Yeah. Okay. So my
because I'm looking at the timing so that we do not also flow just because, as I said, in terms of public participation.
My understanding is that there is no further public participation, but just help me if I'm not correct.
No, not after, Chair, in between, before you get your report.
Yes, the council has approved the annual report process plan, which has got dates for submission of public comments and for everything. I just cannot recall out on top of my head now the dates, but it's there. it concludes on the tabling of the annual report. So by the time you table the annual report, you would have received the report of the audit committee, the oversight committee, which is yourself now here because you will play that role. You would have written your report on the annual report. So by that time, all comments and everything would have been taken into consideration. I cannot answer you on the top of my head the actual deadlines, but in terms of the process plan that council approved, it's all there.
Okay, thank you. So that is then approved that we recommend this work plan as amended to council. So we also dealt, by being busy with this, item 36, actually the terms of reference, the amendment that thereof, which we then do not approve at this stage. We do not approve the proposed amendment. The amendment was regarding the circular 63. So that amendment is not approved. That is then item 36, the terms of reference for the minutes purpose. Okay, that then closed down the meeting. And just say what?
Open.
Yeah, the open meeting.
Just a quick one, Chief. I'd just like to thank everybody for serving on the committee. I see Rihanna is now taking me off as members of the committee on page 4.
No, you're not on one of them. But there was a question about your.
Ja, hoe jy beveel. Alright, Rihanna.
Het jy intussen verbeter dat hulle nou bereid is om jou te laat?
I'm working on the non-diploma. I don't know which one.
Yeah, I see that it's not on one of them, Rihanna.
She does.
Okay, so is the machines and videos and things shut down?